Hi, my name is Simon Cook, and my research proposal is on the effects of playing position on the physical demands of male college soccer. Originally, I'm from Manchester, England, and I now live in San Jose, California. I've been a professional soccer coach for 16 years. I'm a father of two, Grayson who's 5 and Georgia who's 3. I'm the head coach of men's soccer at Evergreen Valley College and the youth director at the Anza 4 Soccer Club, a nationally recognised development academy club. Some background on my research topic came from my interest in the advancement of technology in supporting coaches with data. Can numbers alone determine a player performance in soccer? What does passing accuracy percentage or number of assists in a game actually tell you about a player's performance? Does more running mean better performance? With all this data that's available, it's the interpretation of data that's most important for the coaches. In narrowing down my topic, I could look at the physical demands of soccer, which could be tracked through player tech, GPS units, or technical observations such as pass completion, which would be done through observations and video analysis. I chose to go with the physical demands through player tech and decided that distance covered and sprint distance completed would be two metrics that player tech would give me. Is there a relationship between position played and the physical demands of soccer? If there is, how would that affect training plans, conditioning programs, and performance evaluation as coaches? The next stage was my literature review on the effects of playing position on the physical demands of soccer. My first stage here was looking at the acceptance and validity of the GPS data. Garcia Unanue et al. 2018 was quoted that GPS is now an indispensable tool for coaches and sports scientists. Jennings, Cormack, Coots, Boyd and Orhe 2010 in their research showed that whilst GPS devices are widely accepted, they do have some limitations. Their limitations were found to be at very high speeds or very short distances. There was no real GPS data and player load information at the junior college level, but there was a plethora of data available in the professional game. In looking at total distance covered in a game, Abbott, Brickley and Smeaton, whilst researching the English U23 Premier League, found that centre midfielders run on average 11.57 kilometres a game, while centre backs run on average 9.83, a difference of almost a mile. In a French First Division study, distance covered also ranged from 12,000 metres to 10,500 metres based on position. Torino et al. 2016, who was studying European match competition, found that defenders covered the lowest, whilst wide midfielders and second strikers the greatest total distance. Looking at sprint distance, Baptista Johansson, Seabra and Patterson 2018, studying the Norwegian First Division, found that centre-backs and centre midfielders had the lowest total sprint distance. They also found that outside backs' most common high-speed run was from 6 to 10 metres, whereas every other position was 1 to 5. De Salva et al. 2010, whilst studying the Champions League and UEFA Cup, found that wide midfielders do more sprints at every distance than the other positions. Bloomfield, Pullman and O'Donoghue 2007, studying the English Premier League, found that playing position significantly influences all purposeful movements. In additional studies, Chamura et al. 2015, while studying the German Bundesliga, found that fullbacks, central defenders and centre midfielders ran less in games that were won than tied and lost. Bradley et al. 2011, studying Premier League, found that attackers in a 4-3-3 formation had greater high-intensity running than in a 4-4-2 or 4-5-1. To summarise my literature review, I found that at the professional level there are significant differences in the physical demands on soccer players based on the position they play, due mainly to the tactical restrictions or roles they're expected to play. Centre-backs typically run the least, centre midfielders run the most, wingers and strikers sprint the most, and full-backs and outside backs vary due to the nature of their roles within their teams. Having completed my literature review, my purpose statement is to determine the effects of a soccer player's playing position on the physical demands of the game in male junior college soccer as measured by total distance ran and sprint distance completed during a game. My research question: what is the effect of playing position on the physical demands of a male junior college soccer player during a game as measured by total distance ran and sprint distance completed? My study design is going to be a quasi-experimental ex post facto design. The ex post facto design comes from the static group comparison of the 5 positions that I'm looking at. The quasi-experimental comes from the fact that the groups are not random. Quasi-experimental designs are more common in relating studies to real-world environment. Thomas, Nelson and Silverman, 2015. Participants in this study will be 22 junior college soccer players. The mean age of these players will be 19.8 years, the standard deviation 1.3 and the range 4.2. All these participants will be college level soccer players with a technical and tactical game understanding of that of an elite soccer player. All participants are over the age of 18 and the study will be approved by the Institution Review Board at Fresno Pacific University. The main instrument that will be used in this study will be GPS units that will be worn by all players during the soccer games. Player tech, which is also utilised by many professional clubs including Liverpool FC, the New York Cosmos and many colleges here in the US, can measure 20 times more detail than an average GPS watch and gets detailed movements 400 times per second from the device. The units are stored in a vest worn by the players in their back between their shoulder blades. More details on these PlayerTech devices and these units can be found at the PlayerTech website, which I've listed here for reference. 22 participants will take part in this study who are all part of a college soccer team. They'll be tracked over the course of 30 competitive junior college soccer games in a calendar year. The 22 participants will be broken up into 5 playing categories: central defender, 4 players, outside backs, 4 players, central midfielders, 6 players, wingers, 4 players, and strikers, 4 players. As mentioned earlier, the players will not be separated randomly, but will instead be put in the categories where they represent the college team and play the best. No goalkeepers will be included in my study. Data will only be recorded if the team plays a 4-3-3 or a 4-5-1 formation. Playing other formations could distort the information and the data for the study. Data will also only be recorded if a player plays 70 minutes or more in a game. This is a very important part of junior college soccer. Baptista et al. 2018 only recorded data when players played the entire 90 minutes. However, in junior college, players can rotate in and out, which is a rule that's very much different than the professional game. It's unlikely many players will play the entire 90 minutes during a junior college soccer game. Therefore, 70 minutes or more will allow data to be recorded. Data will not be recorded if a player plays in 2 different positions in the same game. Again, this will distort the information that's being collected. The statistical method used to analyse this study will be a one-way analysis of variation. This is effective for evaluating a null hypothesis across multiple group means with consistent independent variable. The groups will be the positions: centre backs, outside backs, centre fielders, wingers and strikers. The consistent independent variable will be the physical demands of the game. The ANOVA will be performed at a significant level of 0.05. Thomas, Nelson and Silverman, 2015. Application. So how does this study apply to our profession? Why is it important to coaches to have this data on junior college soccer players? There are 4 main ways. The first is player development. Being able to show the players their data and compare against other players who play their same position is invaluable for player reflection. It's also important that coaches can explain where players are stronger or weaker in numbers than those who play around them. An example could be discussing with holding midfielders their role in winning the ball back. One holding midfielder who wins the ball back a lot more has significantly higher sprint distances. Being able to show this to the holding midfielder who doesn't win the ball back more might give them a visual learning opportunity to see where they can improve their game. A second example might be talking to one of your strikers, and in discussing with your striker you find that his total distance ran is actually too high. He's spending his energy in areas that is not valuable for a striker. You may actually be asking your striker to reduce his overall distance ran, but increase his sprint distance ran. Can he reserve his energy in times where it's not needed to be used and save it for maybe more dynamic movements in and around the penalty area closer to goal? Also able to show players their data and comparing it to professional data, distance covered, sprint distance ran, enables them to see where their performance levels at in comparison to the professionals. The second way in which this research can be valuable is in position-specific training and conditioning. With the additional data now available, there can be a progression away from just soccer-specific training and conditioning to now position-specific. If we know our centre midfielders will run more than anyone else, our wingers and our strikers will complete more sprints, and that our centre-backs will typically do less of most, why would they all participate in the same generic pre-season programme? Maybe the pre-season programme can be separated. After a part of training that's done collectively, the positions break off and do something that's more related to their position. Maybe centre midfielders continue some aerobic training, strikers and wingers work on some repeated sprint training, and defenders do other movements, maybe such as jumping, heading, shuffling, backpedaling, that's more related to the position they play. A third way in which data from this study could help is in the injury prevention and the intervention when output drops, by tracking a player in relation to those players who play the same position and in relation to team averages for that role. For example, a wing back who in an attacking 4-3-3 formation will probably cover greater sprint distances, and usually does, his numbers may be dropping over the course of a week. You might see a downward slide in sprint distance from your right wing back from Monday through to Wednesday. By seeing this data and being able to talk to the player, you may be able to discuss why is it that your numbers are dropping from above the team average to below. He might then tell you that actually he has a tight hamstring, or he has a sore foot, or he has a small injury. The intervention at this point, due to the data analysis, can actually help you have that player sit out and avoid more serious injury. The fourth way that this study can help is by identifying the characteristics required to play a certain position in the player recruitment and selection. If we know central midfielders have to cover a certain distance, wing backs have to sprint a certain amount, and midfielders and forwards have also physical demands that they carry out, it will help us out select the players who can either A, carry out those tasks, or B, have the potential in the recruitment and selection phase. Conclusion. Many studies at the professional level support a significant effect on the physical demands of the game based on the playing positions of a player. However, few have been done at the junior college level. Completing this study will assist coaches in making more informed decisions in many aspects of their coaching role at the junior college. As technology continues to improve and become readily available, it's important that coaches embrace the additional tools, data and information that's available to them. Efficient use of technology available could revolutionise coaching theories and practices. The interpretation of the data is what's most valuable to coaches and ultimately the players. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to my presentation on the effects of playing position on the physical demands of male college soccer.